Alright, so this should be the second part, the one with the in progress details. Excuse the mess. Um, Everything is all over the place, and I'm not really good at keeping things organized when more and more and more and more stuff are brought to the table. Anyhow, so right now I am here. As much as I tried, my cutting of the hole is a total mess. I've got like 1.5 straight lines, a wobbly line, and a disastrous line, but it is what it is, it doesn't matter. I initially marked the lines and I actually tried to cut the plastics with a Sharpie knife. And I might have succeeded with a bit more patience, but after like 30 cuts, I estimated I was like, I don't know, maybe 0.5 millimeter in, something like that. So it would have taken a very, very long time. So I decided to use a cutting disc. The shank of the disc is too small and you need to keep the handpiece at an angle, and the disc was also a diamond disc, so it didn't only have like cutting teeth along the circumference, and that's why I have this bend here, because the disc actually like it went on its side and kind of fucked up my straight line. But it doesn't really matter. When I'm done with it, I might I don't know, glue something over, like a piece of, I don't know, leather, for instance. I will that would be an idea. A nice piece of leather that will cover everything, screws, go around the buttons and all. For the holes for the buttons, now I don't have any free buttons to recheck the measurements, but I think you need like a 12 millimeters diameter for the button to go through, but the button right here near its base has a bit of a widening, so it's slightly bigger in diameter. It's something like 13 point something. So I used one of these step drills, or whatever they are called. I'm sorry for the aesthetics of it, it's super rusty, but it still works. And yeah, that's what I used for the buttons. Now on the other side, the display, the TFT is bolted with 4 M3 screws that are 10 millimeters long, so 3 by 10, and I used 2 M4 washers because I didn't have any M3 washers. I'll need to buy some and replace them. So 2 M4 washers on each post, on each screw, as a spacer between the actual case and the TFT. So the board of the TFT would not sit flush on the box, because it has some pins and solderings and stuff, and I feel better if there's a little bit of space. Okay, on the back side, this is the funny part. On the back side, you can see the washers. These two holes are extremely close to the actual edge of the cutout, and I had to actually flatten one side of the washers. So I used a regular, whatever that is, in Romanian it's called stone, but it's something for, I don't even know what you can use it on. I use it on everything because that's all I've got. Alright, these leads are 30 centimeters long. You can use shorter. 20 might have been the best, but I don't have any on 20. 10, these are 10 centimeters long, are too short. They won't get you to the other side of the box where the ESP sits. So for the time being, I'm going for the 30. Maybe on my next order on AliExpress, I will order some 20, a set of 20, and just replace them so they are not that long, because you'll need to like coil them in various ways to fit, or to fit neatly. And the wiring for the buttons, I tried to stick to the color coding from the PDFs, so it would be easier to double, triple, and so on check the wiring. So each button has its own color: red, white, yellow, green, and black. And the purple one is actually the ground. It's not the ground, because if I follow the PDF, all the common leads from the buttons will go to the VB pin on the ESP, and the VB the VB should be on this side and should be somewhere here low down, but it says ground, and it makes sense. It should be a ground. Maybe it's an error on the PDF. I'll double check it, and I will check on the schematics the pin number. So let's say second from bottom on the left row or left column means ground. I would assume it's the ground. Okay, so what I did, I took one of these wires from one of these wires. I had one that I already stole a bit of wire from it. So I cut it to length, and then I stripped little bits from point to point so that I could run a single wire connecting all those poles of the buttons. I initially wanted, or tried, because this one was a bit longer, I tried to actually stick the wire through the holes in the poles, but it was so tight that the wire actually partially stripped while pulling it through the holes. And when I had to go from one isolated part to another isolated part, the end of the next isolated part would simply not go through. So I had to back off and simply solder them on top. It would have been nice to actually go through, but as long as you don't pull on them, you should be totally fine. There are no forces on them, so they are quite sturdy. I also checked for continuity each button and each connection, so in case anything like a cold solder, or I don't know, maybe if I manage to melt one of the terminals, I can spot the issue right then, because when everything is completed and I will apply current and power to this device, if anything goes wrong, I might burn something, or it might not work, and then the troubleshooting is a lot more difficult. You need to go back and retrace every single wire and see if it's connected properly. Alright, next step will be to find a way to actually fix this board to the bottom of the case. Probably my best bet would be to actually make like from a piece of something. I wonder. No, it's too small. I thought the rectangular piece that I cut from the top would actually fit the bottom, but it's too small. So I would need like a rectangular piece that goes on top of these 4 points, which are not mounting points, but I can make them. I could make them to be mounting points by drilling and tapping. That's probably a good idea only in my head. We'll see. Another way would be to actually hot glue whatever I'm going to use to these 4 posts, meaning that if I add a whole lot of hot glue around, it should stick. But adding in 4 different places quick enough before it cools down, I will think about it. Probably a piece of wood would be my best scenario, easiest to accomplish, and then bolt this one on top of that piece of wood, and I should be fine. I will need to place it like this, and for the time being I will probably test everything with the USB cable coming out through, I'll see where, I don't know, maybe I'll drill a hole in the back of the case, so when I'm done it doesn't show when I'm going to actually add USB connectors. We'll see. That's one thing that I need to do, and then I will have to get everything, all these wires, connected to this. And I made a list, a schematics list, because I don't like to work with a PDF on my phone in front of me. So from the buttons, I know each button where it should go, white 26 and so on. The common wire goes to VB. Now that's the one that I need to check. Optional flash plug. Now this is very nice, very interesting. I don't have one yet, but I will also order from AliExpress a flash cord like this one, but longer, and that one will probably be attached to the sensor box. In my head it makes more sense because I'm sorry again. Because, so this is the camera that I'm testing. The sensor box will be on the back, securely or secured in place. I'll see how. On one hand, my design will have all those rails that will allow it to sit in a fixed position to the film rails. I will probably use some elastics on top, and if I have a lead that goes from this sensor box and connects to the flash port, I'm set. I can also test flash right then, instead of having a longer lead that goes from my actual tester box, the one with the TFT, all the way here. And that would mean having another but having one wire that comes out from the box all the time. I don't like that. Instead, I could have a small one, like 10 centimeters long, it should be enough, that simply goes like over into the flash port. That can be here, 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 depending on the camera, and that's it. Or here, if you have a Leica. So I think that's the best idea. And worst case scenario, I don't like that idea. I will simply open the box, disconnect the lead, and that's it. Because, and why I also think it's a good idea. Optional flash plug. One lead from that flash plug goes to VB. The common the ground from the sensors also goes the common ground goes to VB, so VB is ground. That means I can use only one wire, so all the sensors, all the grounds from the sensors will collect in a single point along with the ground from the flash plug, and I will have one wire that goes from the sensor box to the ESP board, and that's done. Then the sensors, each sensor, the out point or pole Each one goes to a different point on the ESP, so 33 for left, I think, from the diagram, 25 center and 32 right, but I think the software is capable to know which one is which, and you don't really need to work it out. Worst case scenario, I will simply switch 33 with 32, so the wires, I will just switch them. Okay, and the VCC from the sensors are common to the 3.3 volt pin on the board, so that's the power input. All right, so we've got buttons, we've got the optional flash plug, we have the, I don't think you see what I'm pointing here. Yeah, you don't. We also have the light sensor that I have no idea what you should do. So it's optional. I don't think I'm going to add it because not knowing what it does means that I don't know where I should add it. And I'll just leave it be for the time being. I did write it down, so 4 poles to 4 points on the light sensor to 4 points on the ESP side, and this is the connection for the TFT. On my actual bundle of wires, I only have wires up to here. On one PDF I remember seeing only these and the rest were empty. On the PDF that I looked at now with the complete wiring, I saw wires going all the way to the end, only 2 points are empty. So I have from the J2 point, unfortunately J2 I think is written on the other side. Oh no. Yeah, it's written on the other side of the TFT, so I hope I wired them correctly. But I'll check the diagram again. On the diagram the TFT was sitting like this. J2 was here. So it started from top left going down and the screen was facing me. Okay, which is like this, and if I turn it around, this is the first point. So I'm correct. So we have brown, black, green, all right, white, gray, blue, yellow, brown. These were the first the connections from the first PDF, and then we also have one empty, and then yellow, orange, blue, purple, empty. I don't know what everything does, I'm just copying, so I will add some more stuff. Let me see if I have a yellow or another yellow. If I don't, I'm going to use an orange. No, I can't because I have an orange one here. So orange, blue, purple, and I will probably use, I'll see, I'll look for a yellow one. So orange goes first in number 3, 1, 2, 3. Then I have blue, then I have purple, and then I have an empty one. Okay, I'm one cable short from having everything set up. use a red one because there's nothing red here. Yeah, I'm going to use a red one instead of yellow, or I could, since I have yellow and yellow, this is the next challenge. So you have, let me use something to point, a drill bit will do. Brown, brown, both go to the same point. Black, green, white, gray, blue and blue, 23 and 23, yellow and yellow both at 18, and that's it. So we have brown, blue and yellow, three colors that are in pairs. So what you can do is use these things, but be careful. I already broke one. Be careful because on one hand you would need a female connection for the TFT and then the male to go into this chalk block, and then from the chalk block you would need a male to male, so one male here and another male here. But these wires don't really work well with these chalk blocks. See, nothing. Instead, if you actually cut one end and remove the isolation, whatever it's called, I can't remember right now, then it will work just fine. Let me see if I have, I'm going to test it out with this one. This one is a very poor little bastard that I pulled wires from. Come on. Please allow me to prove a point. Something like that. This one only has like 2 wires left, so it's not really the best example. So what I'm going to do for those 3 pairs, brown, blue and yellow, I'm going to use shorter wires because I have the 10 centimeters ones. So I have 2 yellows, all right. I have 2 blues, and I have, I could use 2 blacks, doesn't matter, instead of the browns. So black and black. The female ends will go into the TFT module. I will cut them short and connect them all with chalk blocks. Now the next thing is going to be to see if I have enough chalk blocks. You need 3 to connect 2 wires, because you connect 2 and the third goes further away. Since I have one that has 3, I have another one that has 3, I had another one that I broke, but I have lots of 2s. So in this case I'm going to use these because I have more of them, and I'm going to use them by connecting 2 wires coming from the TFT, cut them, solder the 2 ends together, and then use them as one. So both wires will go into one of these holes, and from there I will go ahead with another one. That's one option, but you need these, and you can get away not easier but more cleanly without, by simply soldering everything together and then heat shrink them so they look nice and you don't have any risk of shorting something out. And I think that's what I'm going to do. And in that case I will need the shorter couples, shorter pairs, connected to a longer single lead that goes to the correct pin of the board. Next, I will need to figure out how many of these wires connect to a single point on the board. Now, in the PDFs, there is a very important mention that this ground between 19 and 21 is not actually ground, is mislabeled on the expansion board. So I am not going to use this one. Then I will, for the wires that go to ground, I have 1, 2, 3 available ground points on the board. And I need, probably this is 1, this one and these ones will go from the same point from the box. So this is 2 and this is 3. The black from the TFT also goes to ground. Of course, I would also have a ground from the light sensor, but I can combine it with something else using a chalk block at some point if I need it. So enough grounds, that's all right. Then another common point would be the 3.3 volts, and I need 1 from here, 2 from the sensors, and that's it. And I only have 1 on the board, this one up here. The one on the bottom is a 5 volts port. So pretty much I only need to connect the brown wire coming, the common brown wire coming from the TFT with the common VCC from the sensors, and I should be good to go. So that's 1 chalk block of 3. Alright, that's about it. That's about it. I am going to continue connecting wires and stuff, and my plan for today is to finish with this part, so connecting everything together, and then I will need to, for the time being, either use this box, or I could maybe even design one. And now I think I'm going to start with this one because it's already here, and if everything works correctly, then the next step would be designing my own sensor box. All right, thank you. I will see you next time. Probably also some details from the build, and then I hope everything works smoothly and I can show you the final result and some tests, and that's it. Okay, thank you, see you next time.